We all make mistakes, unfortunately. But if we can learn from the mistakes that others make, all the better. That is why I have a special guest with me today, and she is going to share with us 3 common sales and marketing mistakes you do not want to make. Hi, I am Tim Fitzpatrick with Rialto Marketing, where we believe marketing shouldn't be difficult. All you need is the right plan. I am super excited to have with me Diane Helbig from Helbig Enterprises. Diane, thanks for taking the time to chat today.
Oh, thanks for having me on, Tim. I'm thrilled.
Yes, absolutely. We were talking beforehand. It's kind of hard to believe we're coming into Memorial Day weekend as we shoot this. I don't know where the first half of the year went here.
Boy, me either. It is flying by.
It is flying by. So before we dig into these common mistakes, I want to learn a little bit more about you and what you're doing with your business. But I want to start by asking you some rapid fire questions to help us get to know you.
Okay, go.
You good to go?
Yep.
Okay, let's do it. When you're not working, how do you like to spend your time?
Gardening and walking my dog.
Okay, those are all good, healthy things, right? What kind of dog?
Border Collie mix.
Okay, Border Collie mix. I have 2 dogs. One of them they say is a Border Collie mix, but it's like Border Collie Shepherd Lab. He's like 70 pounds and he's a bull in a china shop.
Yeah, mine's a little bigger than I think he's supposed to be. So he's got, he's a rescue, so he definitely has other things in him.
Yeah, well, they're smart dogs.
Yes.
What's your hidden talent?
I can sing.
You can really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what do you like to sing?
Motown and, like Stevie Wonder,
okay,
Fleetwood Mac, that kind of thing.
Very cool. I'm not going to put you on the spot and have you sing right now. This is not an audition for American Idol. What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
The best piece of advice I was ever given was when you're in leadership, you have to deal with people based on who they are, not on who you are.
That is a fantastic piece of advice.
It was great. It was a long time ago, and I still remember it because
we have to be chameleons, if you will, and adapt, right?
Yeah.
What's the one thing about you that surprises people?
That I have a tattoo.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
What's it of?
It's a sun, and my daughter has the exact same one.
Oh, very cool.
In the exact same place.
I like it. Thanks. How long ago did you get it?
Let's see, my son's 24, 3 years ago.
3 years? Wow. And before that, you had no tattoos.
Oh yeah. And never thought I would ever get one.
Your daughter's to blame.
Yes. As a matter of fact, she is.
That's interesting because what I've usually heard is once you get one tattoo, the desire to get more becomes much stronger.
Well, with her, that's definitely true.
Okay.
I do not have a desire to get more.
Okay. Yeah. So you just got it for her. So the desire there, you're not having to fight that desire.
No.
Okay. I like that. So what does success mean to you?
Success to me is so individual. It's so personal. I think for me, it's having people around me who I love, doing what I enjoy doing and having an impact on the world in some fashion, and being joyful.
Sounds like success to me.
All right. It's simple.
Yes. Well, hey, that's most of the times the simplest things are the best.
Yeah.
Where's your happy place?
Lake Choctaw, Ohio.
Lake Choctaw. I can say I've never been there, but I'm writing it down and putting it on my list.
Excellent.
Lake Choctaw. What qualities do you value in the people that you spend time with?
Humor, integrity, honesty, and that they communicate.
Man, it's hard. It's hard to communicate well.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
Yeah,
it is.
It's definitely a very good skill and value to have.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit more about what you're doing. I know you're working with small business owners. How are you helping them with what you're doing at Hell Big Enterprises?
So, thank you so much for asking.
Yeah, absolutely.
I work with small business owners on whatever is challenging them in their business, whatever they are not able to overcome on their own. So it could be that they're working really hard but not getting anywhere, so they need systems and structure. It could be that they don't know how to sell at all, and so they need guidance and a plan, to actually get that done. It could be that they're having employee issues and they don't know how to communicate with
Yeah.
people, to make sure we're all on the same page. So leadership skills, time management. It's really, if something is broken and they have tried to resolve it themselves and they haven't been able to, I can get in there with them and learn who they are and uncover why things are happening the way they are, and then come up with a strategy that works for them that they can then implement.
Cool. So if they have something broken, you can help them fix it.
Mm-hmm. Usually.
How did you get into this? Like, what did you do before you started your business?
So immediately before, I was in sales.
Okay.
And before that, I was in leadership I always worked in small businesses. I was the director of operations for a company in Michigan and was responsible for 3 locations, all of employees, onboarding and that sort of thing. So I got to learn about leadership in business. I had some pretty good role models as well and teachers. And then I went into sales actually for that company and then left there and went to another company. So I sold services, products, you name it.
Yeah. So your experience was really, it was pretty varied. So you got to see all sides of it, which positioned you really well to do what you're now doing.
Yeah, it really did. And I got to watch people struggle. It's unfortunately, but that was part of what led me to do this, is that I knew I had developed skills that worked and I was watching people struggle in a way that I thought was unnecessary. And so I thought, you know what, if I can help them overcome those things so then they can be more successful, I would love to be doing that. So I did.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, because we certainly don't need to suffer in silence when it comes to business stuff. So
that's right.
The help we need is out there. We just need to go out and find it. So
well,
I'm looking forward to digging into some sales and marketing talk here. We're going to talk about some 3 common mistakes people make, and I'm sure we'll dig a little bit deeper as well. But let's start on the sales side. Why do you say that selling doesn't work, and how do we build a business if we're not gonna sell?
That's my favorite question.
Yes, it's a great question.
Right. I say selling doesn't work because of how we have been taught to sell. It's all about convincing, persuading, doing a lot of talking, not doing any listening, thinking we know, just a whole lot of behaviors that are actually counterproductive. They don't get us the sale. They don't get us the relationships that we need. And I submit that most small business owners don't like to behave that way. So then they don't. So then they either do it badly or they don't do it at all. And we do have to engage in activities to grow our business. We just shouldn't sell like we've been taught.
Yeah. Or close people.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So do you have any ideas or thoughts as to why this was the way it was and what caused this shift? Because there are certainly a lot more people that are moving away from that type of selling. I would say that type of selling actually is probably more the exception than the rule at this point. But because I don't, it's like you said, people don't like doing that, so they don't do it. And then there are the people that still do it because that's the way they were taught. And, but I don't know. I've always felt like, people are smart. I mean, they can see, they feel it. They can see through that, and nobody likes being in that position.
Right.
So,
Right.
like, what thoughts do you have as to like why that started to shift?
Yeah. So I think what happened was, if you think about pre-internet, the salesperson was the person who had all the information. They knew everything about their industry. They knew everything about their product or service. And if they were good, they knew about their competition.
Yeah.
They knew what was good and bad about their competition. So the consumer really had to rely on the salesperson to educate them. So, and the salespeople knew it, right?
Yeah.
So the whole mode was, you go in, you do a really slick, really persuasive, really eloquent presentation, talk about the features and benefits, the bells and whistles, and do it in a way that they will be eager to buy. So it's convincing,
Yeah.
right? Well, then the internet happens. And so, and let me just say that people didn't like that back then, but they didn't necessarily have a choice,
Okay. Got
because
it.
it was really not possible for them to get educated. So there weren't a whole lot of choices. Well, then the internet comes up, and all of a sudden, information is everywhere.
Yeah.
Companies are putting all their information on their websites because, these are now their brochures, right? There's a whole shift to making sure that you are out there and you are presenting information and getting earned media and whatnot. And now the consumer is so much more educated that they are doing their research before they're ever having a conversation with you,
Yeah.
right? So they've already made some determinations in their head about what they need and want. Now, some of the information they're getting might not be good information. We know the internet as information, it's not all true,
Yeah.
but it doesn't matter because they're coming at it from a position of knowledge or believing that they are knowledgeable.
Yeah.
So they don't have to put up with this anymore. They can do their research. They can decide who they're going to have conversations with. What they're really looking for is someone they can trust to tell them the truth and to partner with them to help them solve a problem, whatever that problem is. They're
Yeah.
not looking to be wowed.
Yeah. So how do we, if we're not gonna, persuade or convince or, use sales black magic or whatever it is, how do we do it?
Yeah. Well, I firmly believe that what we need to do is get real curious and engage in discovery in every aspect of the selling process. So when we shift our mindset from, I got to be selling, I got to be talking, I got to be looking for clients, to, you know what, I got to be really curious and I got to be open to learning and hearing what people are telling me in a broad sense, not even just around the thing that I sell, then I can be of more value. I can help them problem solve. I can connect them to resources. I can also build a community around my business so that when I have a prospect that I want to learn about, I can maybe get an introduction to them because I've built this really great network of people, this community around my business, people who trust me. So, so it's more about the relationship building and, process to some degree, but discovery completely. If being, if we are curious in our mindset, then we're not looking at everybody as if they are tonight's dinner.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yes. So keeping that in mind,
Mhm.
most of us, we have some type of, initial conversation with the potential client.
Mhm.
What kind of tips or recommendations do you have, as what should the structure of that initial conversation be?
So it's a good question. I think sometimes it depends on the industry. I really think that a salesperson should seek the meeting, not the sale, and should really be interested in learning about their prospect
Yeah.
and asking a lot of questions, not doing a lot of talking. So, just so.
Yeah.
And we have to have those questions available to us, because what we're trying to do, what a lot of salespeople don't realize, is what you are doing is you're trying to get an answer to two questions. Can you help them? And do you want to help them?
Yeah.
Okay. Because not every client is a good one. Not every prospect should become a customer. And so we have to take these blinders off and be very present in the conversation so we can pick up on cues and clues and who they are.
Yeah. Yeah. So ask questions,
Mhm.
listen,
Mhm.
and your goal is to determine,
Mhm.
can I help this person, and am I a good fit to help this person?
Right. Do I
Yeah.
want to? Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
You get to make that decision.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's kind of like, I view it like this. So many people who are out looking for jobs think that they're the ones being interviewed. And I've always felt like, no, the candidate should be interviewing the company just as
That's
much as the
right.
company's interviewing them.
That's
This
right.
is the exact same thing,
It is.
and so yeah, know your worth and know that you're evaluating whether you're a good fit.
That's exactly right. That is exactly right. These, if you're in business for the long term, these are going to be long-term relationships, and they could go deeper, right?
Yeah.
Just from the initial sale. So you don't want to get into a long-term relationship with someone where it's going to be difficult for both of you, where it's going to be unpleasant and you're going to dread every time they call or email. That's
Yeah.
not good for anybody. And I submit you're not going to make money that way.
Yeah.
It's not about the revenue,
Yeah.
it's about the profit.
Yeah.
And you're not going to get to goal having a whole bunch of clients you don't like.
Yeah. Totally agree. So let's jump into networking. A lot of small businesses, referrals and networking is a very strong lead gen
Yeah.
source.
Yeah.
So when we talk about networking, in your opinion, what are people getting wrong, and what should they be doing instead?
So the easy answer is, what they are doing wrong is they are looking for sales instead of looking for relationships.
Okay.
So there's a lot that they do wrong because of that. They walk into a networking event, handing their business card to everybody, talking way too much about their product or service. They feel like they're on. And a lot of times they will go someplace and they will actually survey the room with, can I see who looks like a potential customer? And I've had people even say to me, I don't need the small talk over here. I don't need these conversations over here. I need to get business. Okay, you're not going to get business while you're networking.
Yeah.
So stop, right? You are going to get the exact opposite of what you're looking for, because people aren't going to want to be around you because they don't like that behavior. You don't know whether they even need what you have to sell, or once again, whether you want to work with them. And I submit to you, you do want that small talk. You do want to just be talking to people and getting to know them, because you have got to build this community around your business. You need resources. You need referral partners. You need business friends, colleagues who you can, have meaningful conversations with, the growth sort of conversations. You're not going to find those people if you're only looking for customers. You're going to miss out on really valuable relationships because your head's in the wrong place.
Yeah. So their top priority in networking is the wrong priority.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the analogy that I always hear people bring up, which I think most of us can understand, is like, if you met, a potential date at a bar, you're not going to walk up, introduce yourself and say, hey, let's go get married, right?
Exactly.
There's a process here.
Yes, right. That is exactly right. And think about it for a minute. If everyone went, let's say 30 people go to a networking event with the goal of getting a client, that means every single one of them is going at people. Every single one of them is talking. None of them are listening. Is anyone going to accomplish that goal? No, because no one's listening. And would you ever go back? No, you wouldn't, because you'd be thinking to yourself, and if people think about this, they're thinking to them, when the insurance guy walks up to them and starts telling them all, but and asking them, do they have their house covered and this, that, and the other thing, they're thinking, why are you talking to me about this?
Yeah.
Right? I don't need it. I
Yeah.
don't know you. My brother-in-law is my insurance agent, whatever it is. And then it's like, okay, well, you know what? You're telegraphing that you're only interested in me if I'm a potential client for you. So you know what? See you later.
Well, and it's this kind of goes back to your first point about sales. It's the same stuff, right? We need to be in sales. We need to be curious. We need to ask questions. It's the exact same thing from a networking standpoint.
Yeah.
We need to be curious about those other people and ask them questions, because again, we're all smart enough at this point, and we've all been in this situation where, guess what? We meet somebody at a networking event, and we're asking all the questions, and they ask nothing in return about what we're doing. Whether they said anything or not, they've just communicated, I don't care about you, and I'm moving on. So we're all smart enough to pick up on that at this point.
Yeah. So stop,
Yeah. Just stop.
Please.
Yes. So it is a process, and we need to give it time. Building relationships doesn't happen overnight.
No.
And I think that's probably another mistake a lot of people make, is they don't give relationships a long enough period of time to develop before they just give up on it.
I completely agree with you. And so if you've ever gone to a networking thing where you meet someone and they're all excited to meet you because they've gotten referrals from someone in your industry in the past. So they say, we should connect and we should refer each other, we should exchange business cards and be referring each other business because, you are exactly who is a great referral source for me. Okay, maybe, but I don't know how you work. I don't know if you have integrity. I don't know if you do, if your clients like you, if you return phone calls, and you don't know any of those things about me.
Yeah.
So just because I look like an ideal referral partner, we still have to get to know each other.
Yeah. We still have to talk. And, it's interesting too, because there have been times where I have had initial conversations with people and I felt like I had a pretty good idea of what they did. But as I continue that conversation, you start to peel back the layers of the onion. And you're like, man, I really didn't have a very good idea of this until we had chatted, 2, 3, 4, 5 times.
Right.
So
that's right.
We
like
have to give these things time.
We're on our best behavior on the first date, and then
yeah.
Well, together.
The other thing that I always thought too, like from a dating standpoint, was like, look, if you're having a hard time having a conversation the first time you meet, this ain't gonna work. You shouldn't have any problems having a hard time talking about anything.
Right. That's right.
So, if you just meet somebody, whether it's, personally or professionally, you should be able to have a pretty good conversation, because there's plenty of questions to ask people.
And it's easier to have conversations with people when you aren't thinking about having to sell them something.
Yes.
This is why selling doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
Because when we're thinking about selling, we're all in our head, and there's, our focus is in the completely wrong place.
Well, my guess is when you're in that state too, you're not paying attention to what's being said.
You're right. You're not.
Right. You're constantly thinking about, how do I need to shift this conversation? Where can I take it? Rather than just being present in the moment.
Yep. Exactly.
Awesome stuff.
Yeah.
So I want to shift gears a little bit and get into ideal clients. And this is something that is near and dear to my heart, because from a marketing perspective, we are always talking about the fundamentals, your target market, your message, having a plan. You don't have those, you're never going to have long-term success. And within your target market are your ideal clients. So let's talk about this. Why is identifying our ideal clients so important?
Yeah, I think it's important for a couple of reasons. I think the first one is because it really gives you the opportunity to have real clarity around who you love to work with.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean those are the only people or companies that you're going to work with. But the other thing that it does is it keeps you away from the bad client. So believe there's like 3 categories. There's I'm a winner and she's your ideal client. She's everything you love. She's, she checks every single box. Then there's Mr. Me Too, who, yeah, he checks a lot of the boxes, not all of them, but not awful.
Yeah.
And then there's Deadbeat Dave.
Yeah.
Okay. And Deadbeat Dave is difficult, beats you up on price, doesn't do his part, doesn't partner, is always complaining, never satisfied. He's not going to refer you. He's not going to be happy. It's going to be a slog to do business with him. And it's not going to be good for anybody. And the way we know what he looks like is by knowing what our ideal client looks like.
Yes. So when you have a picture of what your ideal client looks like, you now have a guidepost that you can compare people to as you have conversations. Right. But without that, you don't have anything. So there's no structure there in place. Right.
Yeah. And you don't know how to message. Like you said, that's why it's so important in marketing, because you message to your ideal client in a certain way because they're going to hear things in a certain way. If you try messaging to everybody, you're really messaging to nobody.
Yeah.
Right. Because there's nothing for them to grab onto. So knowing who your ideal client is and what they value and what matters to them and the problem that you solve and all those things gives you the opportunity to have consistent conversations around your value from their standpoint, from how they see it.
So when you start to work with the client, what process do you go through if they need help identifying their ideal client?
I actually have them go through their top 20% of clients and detail just bullet point characteristics. So how did they get that client? What is the size of that client? What's the geography? What sort of revenue do they realize? What is the product or service that they're selling to them? What's their personality? I mean, they have to go granular to really get to, so why is it that this client is one that you just love?
Yeah. Why are they ideal?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then we spend a little bit of time on, now let's think about clients you hated, couldn't stand, hopefully you don't have them anymore. What is it about them? Because really getting that visual is valuable. It's important.
Yeah. Well, and you touched on this earlier, and I think it's probably something that a lot of people might gloss over, but it's not just, the numbers about the people, the demographics about them. It's what type of people they actually are. What are their thoughts, their feelings, their aspirations, the results they're looking for, how do they work? Deadbeat Dave does it the way you described him. He didn't value what that client did. He was beating them up on price.
Yeah.
Well, those are all things that you want to have in that ideal client profile. It's they value what we do. They, for somebody like you and I that are coaches, consultants, they see the value in partnering and working with an outside provider.
Yeah.
All those things are, they're psychographics. That's what they are. And we need to get those psychographics as well as the demographics into that profile.
Yeah.
I love the fact that your thought process here is very similar to mine, starting with, hey, let's look at the clients that you've worked with that you really enjoy and why are they good clients, right? Because I can't remember who said it, but people talk about it all the time. Success leaves clues. Well, so let's look at that and pull that out.
Yeah.
But one of the things you touched on that I really like too is with the clients that you have worked with that you didn't like, what was it about them? Because that's a really easy thing to skip. So if you are having a tough time getting some of that information from your the clients you
Uh-huh.
loved working with,
Uh-huh.
well, it's, a lot of times it's real easy to identify what we hated about working with somebody. So we
Yeah.
can just get those down on paper, and the exact opposite is what we're looking for.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
exactly right. Yeah.
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 I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
And you
just,
have to look beyond the thing, the problem that you solve. And unfortunately, I think that's where most people focus with, okay, you have the situation, I have the solution. Let's just focus on that and talk about that. And there's so much more to the equation
yes.
than, just that. That's only part of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here, a perfect example is, I may talk to somebody, you may talk to somebody that has a marketing issue that we can help with, but if they don't really value marketing and
Yeah.
don't see why they need it, well, then
Yeah.
we can't help them.
Right.
So, I mean, that's a psychographic element that has to be in place for them to be an ideal client for us.
Yes, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
That's right. Because you don't want to waste your time
Yeah.
on people, and companies where it just isn't a fit. What I say is you want all of the right business, not all of the business. You don't want 100% market share. You want all of the right business. And so really knowing who your ideal client is and then doing discovery, asking questions around these things
Yeah.
is how you get to knowing, for the most part, are people going to fool you? Yeah, maybe, you're going to end up but you'll be able to get out of it quicker.
Yeah.
Because that light bulb will go off and you'll be able to say, okay, you know what? This isn't working.
Yeah, I love it. So this has been fantastic, Diane. You have dropped some serious value bombs here. So I just want to touch on this. So we talked about selling, get out of the persuasion, convincing realm and start asking questions and being curious. Same thing goes for networking.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants to be sold. They can see through it. Just take the time to get to know people.
Yeah.
And identifying your ideal client, we dug into that a little bit. What other last minute words of wisdom or thoughts do you want to leave us with today?
So one thing that I think might sort of gel all of this and make it easy for people is to remember this: the more you think about selling, the less you will sell.
I love it. That's great.
So it's the subtitle of my book because,
okay, there you go.
Oh my gosh. So just remember that if your mind is on selling, you're going to get the opposite. So you need to, it's a mindset shift, not necessarily an easy one, but it's an important one.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your experience and your wisdom with us today, Diane. If people are interested in reaching out to you, where's the best place for them to go?
I think my website that you have scrolling here, Helbig Enterprises, they can schedule a 30-minute complimentary phone consultation. They can sign up for my newsletter. They can download a free chapter of my book. There's all sorts of things there.
Awesome. So if you like what Diane shared with us today, please reach out. I would highly encourage you to do that. It's Helbig Enterprises. That's HELBIG Enterprises.com. So don't hesitate, jump on over there and reach out. Diane, thank you so much for taking the time. I really do appreciate it. And thank you for those that are watching, listening, really appreciate it. Again, I'm Tim Fitzpatrick with Rialto Marketing. If you want to gain some clarity on where to focus your marketing right now to get the best return, hop on over to our website, rialtomarketing.com. That's RIALTO marketing.com. Click on the Get a Free Consult button. Be happy to chat with you and give you some clarity on where you need to focus right now. Thanks so much. Till next time, take care.